the difference between postural therapy and like chiropractic is like you're going to go in, they're going to manually adjust you. But the problem is like it won't hold that position unless you're doing like activity or exercises to like combat that. So in postural therapy, you're working the muscles to realign the body to go back to its balance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 155 of the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast, your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. Chrissy Bowman is an LA-based postural therapist, co-owner of One Fitness and Therapy with Adam Davis, and a meat-based natural bikini athlete. Chrissy went all in with fitness 8 years ago after completing a bachelor's degree in communication at California's State Long Beach, and since then has been transforming hundreds of clients one-on-one to use postural therapy as the missing link to modern health and fitness. Chrissy is here to share practical ways to incorporate what is taught at One Fitness and Therapy, work and train together as a couple, and check in with Coach Mark and myself to make sure she's going to win her first bikini competition at Lake Tahoe in 12 weeks. We are officially 12 weeks out, getting pretty close. Chrissy and Coach Mark are both far more experienced coaches than myself, and it is truly an honor to have them both on the show to discuss what they are truly gifted with. Chrissy can be found on Instagram at ChrissyBow__ and at www.one, so that's the number one spelled out, fitnessandtherapy.com. And trust me when I say that you have to follow their new Bengal cat Loki on the gram at Loki_the_Bengal 2.0. And we're going to talk more about that, which is probably what I'm most excited about. So for more on Coach Mark from Dublin, Ireland, check him out on Instagram at FitnessBeyondTime01, as he is currently on contest prep as well. Mark has been involved in about every 2 or 3 of our episodes ever since 120 with Wendy Evie, helping me coach all of our athletes with a health-first mentality so that they can come back for more wins and stay injury-free. If you would like to hear more from Mark, myself, and Jonathan Griffiths from the UK, please check out our new show, Carnivore Coaches Corner, on Spotify, where we answer your questions submitted by email to admin@supersetyourlife.com, unpack frequently asked questions we all receive at our one-on-one consultations, and discuss trending topics in the low-carb space. We are 4 sessions into Carnivore Coaches Corner, and we'd love to chat with you there too. Mark and Chrissy, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So why is postural therapy the missing link in modern nutrition and exercise?
That's a great question. So it's actually been almost 10 years since I got in the realm of postural therapy. I think that's outdated. So, but anyways, why I think it's the missing link, this is my opinion, is, well, I'll back up and give you a little history about it. So I was working at a gym that was part therapy, part fitness, and I just kept seeing people get injured on the fitness floor, so in the gym.
Mhm.
And it was like a reoccurring thing. And so to me, I thought that there was this disconnect between wellness and health, and fitness and health. You can be really fit and not functional. So I kept seeing this disconnect. So I find, as I began to learn about postural therapy, I was like, oh, this is the missing link, like function and form are directly connected. So, if you're working out in the gym with poor form, it's only a matter of time before you hurt yourself. So to me, it was really like the foundation to health. And really what got me into the method originally was my stepdad, who had chronic back pain for, I think it was 8 years. He's a golfer, loves golfing. And he had tried everything like epidurals, Botox in his back. He had been, through the medical realm of like Western medicine, and he started doing the method, and it was like working wonders for him. His pain was gone. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. It just kind of like, made me curious about the method. And then that's kind of how I, picked up the book, read the book, and it just like resonated with me. Kind of like carnivore. It just like resonated. So I was like, okay, like there's something to this. And it was very like simplistic in its approach, right? Like we all have the same blueprint of our skeletal system. So that just like made sense. We all have shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. I mean, unless, you're missing limbs. But outside of that, like we all have the same structure. So to me, that was like logical, could make sense of it. And that's really how I treat the body, like as a unit, when I'm working with new clients and old clients. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it as the missing link. So I'd say back pain's like a big one people come in with, right? Either herniated disc, bulging disc, compression of the spine. And it can be different, like obviously depending on the person's history. So when it comes to overtraining, which, deadlifting and all of these types of powerlifting moves can cause a lot of pressure on the spine. And I'd say like a big component of this is like a lack of strength, hip strength. And if you look at like a hip and a shoulder on an MRI side by side, they do look very similar. They're both ball and socket joints. So you have to make sure that like you're lubricating, like almost like WD-40 for the joints. Like there needs to be mobility, and then there also needs to be equal parts stability. So it can just be like a misalignment, meaning like a hip elevation or a shoulder elevation that can really like throw off your deadlift. And then doing that over time is where like the pain tends to show up. It's usually not like an overnight thing. I mean, symptoms can show up overnight, right? Like someone can sneeze and they're like, I threw my back out. But it's typically like over time that like the damage starts becoming more obvious. It's kind of like your body will tell you when something's up, it'll whisper, and then it'll get louder and it'll like start screaming. So my job is to like help translate that message of pain, not to like fear the pain, but really to like understand what it is that's going on. And then in terms of like rehabbing it, muscles move bones. So the difference between postural therapy and like chiropractic is like you're going to go in, they're going to manually adjust you. But the problem is like it won't hold that position unless you're doing like activity or exercises to like combat that. So in postural therapy, you're working the muscles to realign the body to go back to its balance. So I mean, I'd have to take your photos and like actually like do some functional tests to figure out like the root cause of why the back is triggered. And then we could have some more answers.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I see an awful lot of that with clients as well. You can see there's an awful lot of wear and tear in the joints. Pretty much bad movements over the years. When they're doing squats, they could be doing it incorrectly, but probably bending over too much. The lower spine is getting affected. If they're locking out their knees at the very, very top of the movement, again, the cartilage in between the joints is reducedly going down as they get older, and they don't realize that they're actually doing more damage in those positions by locking out the knees, bending over at the hip. So yeah, I see an awful lot of that as well. I think it's the way we need to do it now is just, it's all about safety. It should always be about safety when it comes to exercises. You need to make sure, first of all, does that exercise suit your stature? So everybody's completely different. Does it suit your genetics? Like I know for me personally, I used to love squatting when I was in my early 20s. Now that I'm in my 40s, you wouldn't get me anywhere near a squat machine, because I know I can get better value out of like stationary machines like a hack squat, a leg press. So I think, yes, through your life, you should be basically gradually moving on to other things and not just focusing on one thing all the time.
For sure. And that's like, so it's like part of our natural instinct to like, if you watch your babies, right, like play, when they bend over, they're not bending from their back, right? So we become like more spine driven versus like hip driven, which is where we were originally intended. You watch a baby bend over and they like bend their knees, right? They're not like, oh, I kicked my back. So it's like
that's so true. I had to stop and think about it, and I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. That's
like they sissy squat, they squat all the way down,
Yeah.
like they got it. It's just natural to them. So part of our environment and like sitting all the time, it's no matter what we do, we still have to work against the environment we live in to like maintain our health.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%.
Absolutely. What's like the most common issue that people come to you with? Is it back pain? Is it upper cross syndrome? Is it what type?
It's usually layers. Right, you peel away at one and oh, I forgot about this. And it's funny because I see like trends. Like I feel like last year there was a lot of my clients were coming back with like reoccurring ankle injuries, which similar to what you had. More recently I've been seeing like a lot more hip symptoms, so like outer hip, groin, and then back pain's like obviously one of the big ones. Shoulder was trending like a lot more, I would say, like a year or two ago. Not saying I don't see clients with shoulder pain, but it's usually like shoulder pain linked with like some rotation in the pelvis. And then once you focus on actually just getting the hips into a better position, the rotator cuff and the shoulder's fine. So it really like varies. And it also depends on like the activity that client's doing frequently, right? If they're like a golfer or a tennis player, they rotate a lot. So like that can create a lot of issues as well.
Right. Totally. Going back to what you were saying about your body giving you signs, giving you signals, and you need to notice and address those signs and listen to those signs. And then it gets to a point to where it's screaming at you to stop. There seems to be a real fine line too, to where it's like, particularly with compound lifts. I feel like I can do great on isolation lifts some days, but then there's the days where it's like I am dead set on, like today, for example, hip thrust. And we had an argument, 2 days ago, Mark, with Jonathan, right, as to whether hip thrust was an isolation or a compound lift, because you could make an argument for either way, I guess. But I was looking at that hip thrust and I was like, okay, Chrissy is not going to hip thrust more than me this week. She's going to get on contest prep soon, and I just want to make sure that my lifts keep going up and that we stay one step ahead. But I could tell, I could feel my entire body screaming at me not to do any compound lifts and not to do any squats or deadlifts or anything, because I definitely overdid that earlier in the week. So today was basically just kind of whatever I didn't get to: forearms, abs, leg extensions, and stuff like that. But yeah, I did get 11 on 225. So where's Adam up to now?
265, I believe.
What? Last time he texted me, it was 245.
Yeah, I think it's 245, but he's got more in the tank. Like he could do 265.
Yeah. Okay. So he has to do classic physique now too, because if he just does men's physique, then I'm not going to live with myself if a men's physique athlete can hip thrust more than me. That's not okay.
And to touch on what you were saying about like reading the signs of your body. So like our muscle system and our nervous system, they're directly connected. So there's going to be days, right, where you feel like, oh, I just can't do compound movements, or it just doesn't feel right. And that might be because you're overloading your nervous system. So you just don't have as much in the tank. And to be honest, like it'd be like training when you're sick, right? Like you're not really it could be worse for you to train than it is to take a rest day.
Yeah. So he's counterproductive at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely understand that point, because I see an awful lot of people when they go into the gym, they'll always pick a compound movement first, like a squat, something that's really going to be taxing the central nervous system. And what you don't realize is if you're putting an awful lot of effort into that movement, you're taking away the rest of the strength away from the rest of the workout. And if we're going to be focusing more on safety and looking after our joints, I always favor getting 2 movements out of the way first, get the legs nice and warm, like something like a leg extension, a leg curl, maybe an abduction movement, maybe a leg squat. Get your legs primed and ready. So that squat movement, the depth on that squat could be a lot better, could feel a lot better also. Whereas if you're coming into the gym and you're coming into the gym, you're not warmed up properly, your hips are out of place, your leg position is out of place, and you go down and that bar is on the back of your neck. It just takes one moment, just something goes out of place and you're pretty much screwed. And then when it comes to your central nervous system, if you've got like 260 on that bar and you do like say 4 or 5 reps and you can't do another rep, the rest of your workout is going to be pretty much pointless, because you've literally destroyed your CNS system. Your CNS system is going to be fried, absolutely fried. So what would you say about that?
No, I 100% agree with you. Like it's knowing your limits, being able to like push your limits, but like knowing, okay, I'm extremely fatigued right now, and it's going to work against me to like push beyond that, because I'm then putting myself in a position to get injured. And if you think about like looking back on your life, if you've ever been injured, right? Like there's usually there are a few things going on. There's like a lack of awareness, right? Whether you're distracted or multitasking, doing too many things, but at some point, like usually leave the present moment. because you're trying to go faster, or like you're trying to push more,
Mhm.
and then an injury happens, or you have a lot of stress going on in your life outside of the gym, and it's kind of like you're trying to deal with that stress. It's the body keeps score, right? So you need to be able to like manage all of these different things in your world, and working out is just one of them, but there's other there's other forms of working through things. I guess that's my way of saying it.
Completely agree.
Absolutely, 100%. Speaking of Adam, what does a day look like for you training and coaching together? I mean, I'm sure you guys never argue. No, it's not like Taylor and I ever argue or anything.
We never argue. So we work in proxemics very close to each other. I mean, he's downstairs in the gym, so I'd like to say that's his office, and I'm up here, me and Loki. So we do have like separation for the most part. When it comes to like seeing clients, Adam is like a machine. Like he can just go 9 to 10 clients a day.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how he does it, honestly. I'm like 4 or 5 tops, and like emotionally my bucket's pretty full, and I'm like, that I feel accomplished,
Yeah.
And so he's definitely worked up to that. Like he didn't start working with 10 clients a day, but he does a great job at like
I mean, that's a muscle
that.
just like anything else, right? Your emotional capacity to be able to, this is a people business, and to have a relationship with every single client. Yeah, by the end of the day, that's something you got to work up to.
For sure. So in terms of like getting along, Loki wants to say hi.
No, he's totally welcome to say hi.
Say hi. So we'll typically have like breakfast together. I'll cook because he has like a 30-minute break, and then so that's like at 11. So we try to like block it off to where he has like at least enough time to like fuel his body. And then when it comes to training, we'll usually train together because he'll give himself an hour. So it's very like short time, but he's very, very good at managing time. He's a Virgo, so.
So you're both coaches, and so when you're working out together, are you just like completely? Is it just kind of like that's your escape and your time to just kind of relax and your time for you, or are you guys like picking apart how you're like your form on different exercises?
I'd say like when it comes to training, he's in his little world, I'm in my little world. We'll help each other out. But it's not like we pretty much put our heads down and focus just like to get the workout done within the like time frame we have. I'd say I don't know if you guys are like this, but like we don't need to coach each other because like we're our own critics. So if anything, like he'll say something to me and I'm like, I know. And so it's like counterproductive for us to like give each other feedback unless we ask, right? That's the rule. Like, okay, did I ask for your opinion?
Right. Yeah. I'm copied in a 3-way WhatsApp conversation with Taylor and Coach Mark, and they're blowing up my phone because I'm just like seeing what they're communicating back and forth, and it's just like, wow, this is actually the greatest thing ever to have Mark helping Taylor too, because then it's like just like you guys, we're with each other all the time, all day, every day, raising kids together, and I work from home, right? And so we have my office and the gym, which are basically just 2 different offices, and we have to go back and forth, and we're tripping over kids, dogs, emotional support animals, whatever, in the process. So, speaking of which, Loki, what's the story on the cat? What's the story on 2.0?
Honestly, that was the only name that was open, but it kind of worked out on purpose because Loki had been like previously rehomed at least more than 2 times. So I just found it fitting. And he's 3 years old. We adopted him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was basically he was in a home with like 3 other cats and a newborn baby. And Loki's like very much a vocal cat. He likes to like talk in the morning, especially at like 4:30.
That's pretty typical of Bengals, right? They're pretty noisy.
For sure. He's just
talk
like
it
a chatterbox.
It sounds more respectful.
Yeah, for sure. He's a chatterbox. So it's usually when they want something, but so they were scared that the Bengal was going to wake up the newborn and like, cause issues with the other cats. So that's why they were looking for a new home. And that's when we got Loki, which was like about a month ago.
That's amazing. Yeah. Zion, does she go like to airports with you and kind of go everywhere where you go, like as your little buddy? That's kind of what Zion does for whoever's
so
trying.
it's a he, and Adam would get mad at me if I didn't like clarify that, because I used to call him a she all the time. And he was like, I don't know why everybody assumes cats are girls.
And
But anyway,
same thing with Zion too. What's his name? What's his name? Oh, good boy, good boy, good boy. I just give up after one.
yeah, I'm like, he's non-binary, it's fine. And he's like, no. So he hasn't been like on an airplane yet. He hates the car. He's very much like a dog in the sense that he is like territorial of the house. Like he's like a watchdog, but a cat, right? So he'll just like
That's what he's doing right now.
He'll just watch over it. And then like our first road trip is actually next weekend, so we'll let you know how it goes. We're like taking him in a car to San Diego, staying in a hotel. So fingers crossed we don't get kicked out.
It's awesome. What made you want to compete in the sport of bodybuilding?
I've always been like a bucket lister type of person, you know, like if I want something, I just go for it. And honestly, it was kind of just, it felt like it was just the next step, like where we were at in terms of like our own goals. I like training for something. Like if I don't have something, you know, to look forward to or train for, I'm like, oh, I just kind of lose focus. So I was like, oh, let's do a show. I had been kind of like reading Ketogenic Bodybuilder, the book right behind you. And I was like, why are you reading that? You're not competing. Yeah. I was like, well, that doesn't mean we won't compete. I said we, and he's like, okay, I guess I'm competing now too. So yeah, it was kind of just like, it was always on the back of my mind. So I just kind of wanted something like really challenging to look forward to.
And that's what I love and respect about you guys is with as much experience as you have, is how open you are to learning and how hungry you are to continue learning. You're not the people that are like, oh, I'm arrived. I know it all. I do this for a living, and that's the end. It's like you're constantly learning. You're constantly asking questions. I mean, every single day, we're checking in at least 3 or 4 times a day ever since day one. Still, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
we're definitely like of the mindset like you either grow or die. I think like if you just stay the same, if you're not like continually growing and learning. So, and when it comes to communication, like it's probably our pet peeve with like some of our clients that like are just missing in action. Like they have the busiest lives. We all have busy lives, you know, but like
right.
You make time to communicate, and like we value that with our clients. So we try to give that to our coaches as well.
Yeah, well, you clearly set the example in that way. I think the most interesting thing that we've been going over the last 4 or 5 weeks has just been difference in training backgrounds too, because the way that you guys train, and that's why I was so confused after we started working together. And you're like, what's with all the high reps? And I'm like, looking at you guys like, are you kidding me? Look at your physiques. Like you guys have trained like you know for bodybuilding before, right? And you're like, not really. And then and then we were arguing about Romanian deadlifts. It's like, which like knees over toes. How do you hit your quads? How do you hit your glutes? And it's like, well, if you're thinking about it as a bodybuilder, then your whole goal is to get your mind inside the muscle. But if you're teaching it with a postural therapy background, I mean, you have a whole different purpose for the exact same exercise, really.
For sure.
So it's been a big learning curve for me, seeing how you guys train too.
For sure. Yeah. I think like to that point too, it's like there's different ways to skin a cat, right? I'm not skinning my cat, but when it comes to like skinning a cat, like there's different ways to produce the same outcome. And I think like as long as you have a strong reasons why you're doing it a certain way, you know, and like you have evidence that works, then we're all for it. We're willing to try it, you know. But I think like Adam's definitely of the sense, like he wants to make sense of it in his mind. Like when it comes to anatomy, he's definitely like that. And then, for me, I'm like, oh, okay, like, where am I supposed to feel it? You know, like to me, a move isn't effective if like, I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish. So we like just like the logical aspect of like, this is what you're supposed to feel. And like, you know, it's funny because you can have compensations kick in during a workout, right? Which is like part of training. But then at the end of that, you should start to get to the function of the movement. which is the goal. And, you know, sometimes that's time under tension. Sometimes that's doing 5 reps of 15 or 5 sets of 15. You know, it could be different ways you get there.
Yeah.
But we like knowing why. And Adam's like, so he's like, am I annoying them? Like, I asked so many questions.
Well, no, I see. I love it because I don't think I've had people that are quite as inquisitive as you and Coach Mark, really. But what we're used to is people saying, "Hey, I need a workout plan. Let me know what to do," and then bam, and they do it, and then they're just ready for the next one. And for you guys to go, okay, but why would I do this? Why would I do these lifts first in this order? Or why would I not just superset these? Or whoa, what's with the rest time on this workout versus the last workout? I mean, those are the questions that make me stop and think and go, okay, let's go back to the basics. This is the reason that I do it. Why do you do it that way? And we can, and a lot of times we just have different means of coming to the same goal.
For sure.
Yeah. So you were meat-based before, and you made a really good story by this too, by the way, yesterday. And I mean, that basically sums up kind of the answer that I was looking for here. But you were meat-based before contacting Taylor and myself. Why is that?
Why not? No. We honestly just kind of grew into it. Our experience with carbs was kind of like a love-hate relationship. And it was a little toxic, if I was to be honest. Like we just couldn't handle it. We couldn't control it.
Yeah, I can't either. Most people can't when they get on. So
yeah. And to me, like, we're both kind of control freaks in a sense. And like, if you can't have control over something, sometimes giving up the control is freedom. So that's kind of how we transitioned into carnivore. And then from there, it just turned into like, I feel my best doing this lifestyle. And it was the simplest approach. So yeah, it transitioned from like, you know, keto, then animal based with fruit. We tried the fruit, we tried without, you know, you make little tweaks and like fine tune.
See what you can get away with, what you can't.
For sure.
I think everybody goes pretty much the same route, don't they? They always cut out the carbs. They'll find a way. They'll probably go high protein. They'll probably go the keto route, but eventually it just leads down to carnivore, doesn't
it? For sure.
Yeah.
And then carb cycle.
Carb cycle as well, yeah.
One of my real good friends was giving me a hard time. He goes, "You've gone from one diet to the next, to the next, to the next over the course of your life. What makes you think the carnivore diet is the best?" And I was like, bro, all carnivores get there the same way. First, this is what I did. First, you do if it fits your macros just because you're trying to find something and that's like the most popular or most appealing. Okay. You do that for a while and then you figure it out and you go, wow, there's a lot of these foods that just really don't ever agree with me and nothing ever good comes from eating them. So you get rid of those and then you refine it and then you're kind of like paleo hybrid. And then you go, I'm feeling better the more animal-based foods that I eat. And so let's just have less of the plants. And then you go, wow, I'm feeling great on keto, actually. This is awesome. And then after a while, you're like, you know what? My body's just craving more of the meat and less of the plants. And then you go carnivore and you're like, wow, that last 10% made a really big difference.
For sure.
All
Mark,
right.
how long have you been carnivore?
Just over a year and a half now.
Okay.
I was pretty much like yourself, Chrissy. I was on keto for a while. And then the whole carb thing was just destroying my stomach. So I knew I had to do something. So I went pretty much down the keto route. It was okay for a while, but I knew I was getting these digestive issues, and I knew I was just eating too much vegetable, and my fats were kind of like a 1-to-1 ratio with protein. But I knew there was something going on. So this is when I said to myself, okay, let's just take the fiber out and let's just focus on pretty much fats and proteins. And ever since then, my inflammation went down. I felt so much better. My energy in the gym was so much better. So I just said, right, you know what? I actually don't need to go back to do the vegetables anymore or the carbohydrates anymore. And that's when I just said to myself, right, I'm actually going to teach this. I'm actually going to coach people how to do this. And ever since I've done that, like I've seen huge changes. And listening to like Colt and the likes of Robert Sykes and all those I'm learning more about this because over in our country, nobody talks about keto. Nobody talks about carnivore. It's all like just a standard 6 meals a day, eat your carbs, eat your proteins, all this kind of stuff. But the minute they hear keto or carnivore, it's just big red flag. So unfortunately, we're a small fish in a big pond at the moment.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get
What
there.
do you find is like the biggest red flag that you hear from people that have never heard of carnivore? Is it like the heart disease or?
Yeah. It's just basically if you eat too much red meat, if you eat too much saturated fat, you're gonna die. You hear from the doctors. I'll get clients coming back to me. Like I deal with an awful lot of clients that have health issues, like especially PCOS, thyroid issues. They'll go to their doctor. The doctor will put them on HRT and say, "Listen, you're gonna be on this for the rest of your life. There's nothing else I can do." And it's just like, wow, like you're not giving them any nutrition information at all. You're just putting them on a pill. And it's very, very hard to push them over my side because you have to educate them. It's not as easy to say, like, listen, if you come over with me, I'm going to put you on carnivore and I'm going to fix your life. It's basically you have to gradually bring them down to your level. So they need to start with the carbohydrate, and then you need to show them basically as they're improving, you give them a reason why it's improving. Your inflammation is going down because of this. Your body's getting better because of this. Your energy's getting better because of this. And the more you educate them, then the more that circle just keeps going round and round and round. And then they'll tell their friends, like, listen, do you hear about this carnivore? Do you hear about this keto? And the more we do that over here, and I'm hoping the more we educate over here, the more it'll grow. But it's going to take a bit of time.
For sure.
But yeah, it's all about everybody's just scaring everybody over here. The minute you hear keto, carnivore, you'll get everybody saying, like, listen, you're scaring people. You're scaring people. But people don't realize that, like, when they talk about cholesterol, you need cholesterol. It's good for your brain health.
Mark, do you have like 100% of your clients that are carnivore, or what's the percentage?
I'd say about 95%.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
Not one of them started off a carnivore though. Not one of them.
Yeah. Wow.
We all started off with just clean carbohydrates, like complex carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, rice. And then every week then we'd have a check-in. I'd have a look at their body. But I was never looking like how they looked. I knew they'd lose weight because their food intake was very, very low. But I was mainly focusing on the digestive part of it. So I was like, oh, how are you feeling? Are you still bloated? Do you feel good? All these kind of stuff. And most of them would always come back to me and say, listen, yeah, I look great, but I still feel like crap. I was like, bingo. Okay, this is where I need to titrate the carbohydrate. I need to increase the fats. And then that's what I usually do. I just adjust the macros to what they want to do. So if they want to lose weight, I'll always increase the fats a little bit, bring the full protein down. If they want to build muscle, I'll bring the protein up and bring the fat down. And they can see for themselves, once you have the salt in there, nothing has pretty much changed. They're getting great pumps. They look even better. They look even leaner. And they feel great. They just feel great in general, and which is a good thing. And I've always said your health should be number one. You shouldn't be focusing on the way you look. Focus on your health first, and everything else will get a lot better.
100%. On that note, so her macros right now are 130 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, basically just trace carbs, and 165 grams of fat. She's at, I would say about 12-13% body fat, right? We're not tracking your body fat. We're just going by pictures and going by what the judges are looking for. Judges don't care what their body fat percentage is. But let me put it this way: she depending on the show and how conditioned they want their athletes to be, she could step on stage today and probably get a first place trophy. At a lot of different shows. Again, depending on whether they're looking for mass or whether they're looking for conditioning. The show that she's doing is going to require a bit more strict conditioning than what the sport of bodybuilding has kind of required in the past as far as the bikini category goes. So I'm thinking about an 8-week cut, and between now and the next 4 weeks, because we're 12 weeks out, keeping these numbers the same and just trying to keep them as high and even keep increasing if we can, without her losing any of the definition that she has. You're 118 pounds right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's the hunger like, Chrissy?
I'm not that hungry.
Okay,
I just have to make sure that I don't space my meals out too far. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I can't fast for too long.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't change anything. I think everything's okay. If there's no hunger signals there, and she's maintaining her weight and she's maintaining her strength, I don't see any reason why you need to change anything in the next 4 weeks.
Okay. I was just thinking about increasing to try to bump up her metabolism and capitalize on that just a little bit so that when we do start cutting it 4 weeks out, or excuse me, 8 weeks out, then we have more to pull from.
You could do that, but I think it's a very, very short period to do that in. 4 weeks is a very, very short period. It's not long at all. If you're saying to me like 2 months, 3 months, I'd say, yep, definitely. But I think 4 weeks is too short to do that. I think at the moment we're very, very close. She's very, very close to being 8 weeks out. So I would say, listen, just let's maintain everything. She feels good. She has no digestive issues. Her hunger signals are fine. She's maintaining strength in the gym. So is she going to gain a lot of muscle in the next 4 weeks? Maybe, maybe not. I would say no. You're probably going to gain probably a half a pound, maybe a pound. Is it going to make a major, major difference to what you look like in stage in say 8 weeks time? I don't think so. So I think at the moment, let's maintain the weight. Everything is good. Let's just keep chasing numbers when you're in the gym. Keep getting stronger. That should make a massive, massive difference then when you step on stage. I think the only thing you need to focus on now is the volume. The volume needs to be adjusted after the next 4 weeks. So if you're doing high volume now, it will definitely have to be adjusted probably at least 4 weeks before you step on stage.
The lower?
Yeah, definitely. So anything like supersets or drop sets or anything like that I would definitely take out 4 weeks before you step on stage. Everything just straight sets because you want to save your energy. If you're doing too much energy output in the gym, that's going to increase your appetite. That's going to increase your sugar levels. And then when you're going to be craving a lot more food. So you want to keep everything nice and tight. So when you're a few weeks out, all you're doing is you're not doing any cardio. Your energy output is going to be very, very low. You just need to get into the gym, keep chasing those numbers, keep chasing, try and hold on to strength as much as you possibly can, because that will actually show when you're on stage. Because if like the last 8 weeks of your prep, you've already built the muscle. So the last 8 weeks is just going to be basically just taking most of the fat off the body. But the judges will want to see more than that. So I would say let's just maintain everything the way we are and just keep chasing strength. That will make a massive difference to your body because you will look more dense then when you step on stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely like right now, it's definitely more calories than I think ever eaten.
Yeah,
consistently.
Yeah, so I think
I'm like way nicer, which Adam probably loves. But
yeah,
like...
it's amazing what happens when you take carbs out of the equation, isn't it? And that's why we don't even talk about calories. It just doesn't add up. There's a lot more hormonally that's happening.
Yeah. And
I
what
think I
you
was
think
120 when we first jumped on or started in terms of like ratio. But like I was hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And are you thinking about Colt raising the protein up or lowering the protein up when she's a few weeks out?
Dropping it. That'll be the first thing.
The protein.
I'll start pulling the protein first.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, 130 is like actually hard for me to hit sometimes. It's only 10 grams than I was eating, but like it's because I don't have like yogurt anymore, right? And like sometimes if I eat that amount of ground beef, like I get just nauseous. And I'm like, wait, go ahead. I guess like my question for you guys is like when you do feel like nauseous, like you're overeating, like you're eating more than is comfortable. Do you just push through it, or what do you suggest? Like separating the meals?
Separate the meals.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Colt is a big fan of like 1 or 2 meals a day. I'm a big fan of like spacing meals out about 3 or 4 times a day because of that reason. If you're eating a load of protein, if you're not able to eat it in one sitting, then eat it a couple of hours later. There's no issues as long as we're getting it into your body. And because I'm not a big fan of force feeding. I think force feeding can lead to major issues in the gut. Some people can absorb that protein no problem in one sitting. I, for one, I'm not one of those people, and I know talking to you right now, you wouldn't be one of those people either.
Yeah, I think like I try to fit into too mad, but I'm like, it's still kind of painful. Like if I don't get enough in the morning. So ideally I could do like 2 bigger meals and then like a snack, or a burger patty or something in the burger patty.
I think the 2 meals will work when you're 8 weeks out, or even 1 meal, because that way you're not thinking about food all the time. Yeah. And if you're just sitting down in one sitting and just eating that meal and that keeps you full then for a couple of hours, then that's suitable. Whereas if you're like I'm pretty sure if you're like 4 weeks out from your show and you've got like 4 meals, you're going to be constantly thinking about your next meal. And it's going to be always like that. Whereas if you have like 2 big meals or even 1 big meal, it's like, okay, I've just got to do what I have to do throughout the day. And I just have to have that big meal. So you'll know yourself basically in the next couple of weeks what your body actually requires and what your body does not require.
For sure.
But I definitely think at the moment, because you're eating a lot of protein and you're struggling to eat it, I would actually break it up into just 1 more meal and just have, say, 3 meals a day.
Okay. I'll try that.
Anything that's easy on your gut and you're feeling good, then there's nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Very well said. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, in 12 weeks, you're going to be in the best shape of your life, Chrissy. And 12 weeks later, I want you to be able to say the same thing. And 12 weeks later, I want you to be able to say the same thing.
Hey everyone, Coach Taylor Milton here. Welcome to Skull Bells TV, the official YouTube channel of supersetyourlife.com, where you're going to discover a weekly upload of quick and easy to follow workout tutorials featuring Coach Colt, myself, or one of our athletes to keep your workouts fun, practical, and effective. Our family's latest keto carnivore recipes that fuel Colt's competitions and keep myself and our kiddos strong and healthy. Video uploads of the supersetyourlife.com podcast, now over 100 episodes, your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym, and much more. Last thing before we get into the video, we're asking a big favor from you. This has been working beautifully, so if you would please think of someone you care about that would benefit from this video, go ahead and smash that like button, click the share button, and text this video to them. That would mean the world to us. And while you're at it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more exciting content from Skull Bells TV, because our team has lots of meat and lots of muscle coming your way, and I promise you won't want to miss it. When you hit the subscribe button, you'll see a bell icon pop up. You want to click that too so you're notified every time we release a new video. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world to us. Every like, share, and subscription helps our channel grow and supports our family's hard work. So thank you so much for doing your part too. That's all we ask. God bless you, and please enjoy this video.
Cool.
And then when it comes to like 8 weeks out, is it like, oh, you're in cut? Is it like you're jumping off the edge, or is it like,
no,
you know, like what to expect? Just curious.
It's gonna be like, it's gonna just titrate down slowly. So it'll feel like probably one less bite of a food. So you don't want to go down too low. If you do a massive drop, that's going to affect them. That's going to affect the hormones. It's going to affect the metabolism, and it's going to screw the whole system up. Whereas if you bring the food down nice and slowly, and then when you're stage lean and everything's all over, it's about just reversing the diet back up the same way. So let's say you were dropping down 5 grams of protein up towards the show. When the show is over, you're going to do the exact same method on the way back up. So the worst thing you want to do is jump in straight into your reverse diet after your show, and you bump that food up really high. That's just going to mess with hormones. Your metabolism is going to be all over the place. You're going to be screwed up big time. So if it took you 8 weeks to get stage lean, do the exact same protocol to get out of it again. If that makes sense.
It takes about the same amount of time. I don't think we'll have to diet very hard though, because I think right now her body is just going to naturally tell her that it's okay to scale back a little bit on both, and that'll realistically probably happen to about 6 weeks out. What we have on Excel spreadsheets is great. She's not nailing the numbers exactly like to the crumb. There's days where, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll have a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what your satiety signals are telling you. And I think just paying more attention to that and less to the spreadsheet, a little bit more every single week as we progress towards the show is going to be a natural, smooth transition out of this semi-lean bulk that we're in right now to really getting you dialed into exactly where you need to be when you step on stage.
Yeah.
We'll have to start getting strict, I don't know, probably about 4 to 6 weeks out. And then that's where it's like, okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how much ghrelin is talking to you right now, but this is what's on paper, and this is what we have to do to win. Those are the conversations that we have when we start getting closer.
And at this stage, Chrissy, we want to make sure our stress levels are pretty much fine. So you don't want to be adding any more stress to your body at all. So this is what I was saying about your volume. This is what I was saying about your volume in the gym. your workouts in the gym will probably be a half an hour, very, very close to the show, very, very close to the show. And you don't want to be doing any excessive amount of cardio. As I said, you don't want to put any stress on your body at all. You probably won't need to take every set to failure. It'll be just probably maximum pump work all the way up to the show, because you've already, as I said, you've already done that. You've already built the muscle in the off season. For that last 4 weeks, there's no point in you going into the gym and stripping down the muscle and tearing down the muscle, because it's just going to be pointless. It's just going to hinder your progress.
And you don't have the fuel to even give it and to
exactly
work out. So there's just it's so counterproductive to overtrain that close to a show. Sorry, Mark.
I completely agree. And
passionately out of a lot of experience doing that. You don't want to do it.
Yeah. No,
but right now it's supposed to be like high volume in terms of like training.
This is the volume that you'll have for the next 12 weeks. Yeah. It's just
because like even right now, like doing like some of the like reps, it's definitely higher than I'm used to. Like he comes from weight training, but I don't really come from like a background until I met him of weight training. So it's still like, to me, when you say stress, Mark, I'm like, oh, well, it's somewhat like more stressful than I'm used to, only because we were doing like maybe 10 to 12 reps. I'm getting reps and says reps in each set. And we were only doing like 3 sets. And now I'm doing 5 of like 10 or 20.
And are all those sets to failure?
Yes.
See, that's why I'm a little bit against that, because I'm always saying this to Colt. If you're doing like 5 sets of say 10 to 15 reps, if you go all out on that one set and give that set everything, you will not need to do that ever. You will not need to do that set again. Whereas if you're just going into that set and you're doing 5 sets of that same exercise, your workload is probably only 70% on each of those sets. Whereas you should be giving that set nothing but 100%. So have you taxed the body? Have you focused on negatives? Have you focused on positive reps? Like how are you moving the weight? If you completely destroy the muscle in that set, your body will tell you, listen, I don't want to do that set. I don't want to do that set again. And when you do that, that's when growth occurs a lot faster.
Yeah, I think there's certain exercises that are more taxing, like Bulgarian split squats. That I just like. There's also the emotional self that's like, I hate this. But then there's like the physical, like I can't do one more, and then I still have like a whole nother set.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
So if you have a day like that, like because like your glute workout A, so she's doing a 5-day week split right now, pal. We were doing 4 days a week, but the glute workout that we wrote for her was taking too long. So we split it up into what she's doing now is Mondays, glutes, Tuesdays, upper body, Thursday is quads and hamstrings, Wednesday is quads and hamstrings, Thursday is upper body again. And then Friday is glutes. So I'm trying to spread out her leg work as
so that's probably why, because like the glute day that we split, I just did today and yesterday. And so I was like feeling it, because it was because we just made that change.
I told her, I was like, for this 1 week, you're gonna have 2 glute workouts back to back. I don't know, you can probably get away with it, but next week the new pattern starts.
And what's the recovery looking like, Chrissy? Is it good? Are you recovering very quickly? What's going on?
Yeah, my recovery's pretty good until then I hit the gym and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm like fatiguing a lot faster. So I guess that's would say that I'm not fully recovered.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, training 5 days a week.
Yeah. So I think if I moved this training to maybe Saturday, it'd probably be a little bit more doable.
Yeah, because you haven't worked out today.
You know, instead of like 2 days back to back.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm saying that is because this is what I'm saying about when you get close to the show. Mm-hmm. I would be making sure you're not training 5 days a week. I would be saying you're probably going to be in the gym maybe 2, maybe maximum 3 times a week, max.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably
at that point you're just trying to like work with what you got, right?
Yeah.
And just like really show
that. And this time you're going to be focusing more on recovery than your workouts in the gym. Your workouts in the gym is just going to keep you ticking over, but your recovery is going to be so important because, again, we're going to go back to cortisol. We want to make sure the stress levels are perfect. There's nothing getting in the way of that, because if you're getting really, really stressed leading up to the show, your body's actually going to retain your body's going to retain a lot more water.
Yeah. So those Bulgarian split squats for the glutes, that's a stressful exercise. So doing 5 sets of those is going to be too much on Monday. Okay. So
yeah,
let's take off at least 2 of those sets, right, Mark, and and replace that. It's a pretty short workout all together, minus just that, which is why I didn't have her doing anything else after that particular exercise. But after this conversation, now I'm kind of rethinking it and thinking that less of that and more of an isolation exercise would be better, huh?
Yeah, definitely. From what I've been hearing so far, I just think there's way too much volume. I think you're training too much intensity throughout the whole week. I think it wouldn't hurt to take one day off and just train 4 days a week.
Yeah, we were doing 4 days a week, and then we actually just changed it to 5 days a week. But
are you maintaining strength, Chrissy? Are you getting stronger, or are you getting stuck, or what's going on?
In some moves, right? Like my hip thrusts are going up, so in weight. But then when it comes to like split squats, because so for the last set of 10, like I couldn't even, I started at 22.5 with dumbbells, and then I had to go down. I did 3 sets with 22.5, then I did 20. By like the last set of 5, or last set of 10, I had to do body weight because I could like barely do it. And then after that, it was kickbacks, which 20 reps on each leg. Normally I could do like 20 pounds, 15 barely, and I couldn't even pump out the last 20. It's just the number. I guess it's when I get to set 4, I'm like, I can barely move. So yeah, in some with the high rep exercises, my strength is definitely decreasing. But when it's something that's doable, I feel like I can push the strength. That makes sense.
Yeah. I honestly believe it's too much. And how many warm-ups are you doing for each exercise?
I usually just cut the weight in half and do a warm-up set, just one.
Just one set, one warm-up, and then you'll do 4 working sets.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I would be saying, like, listen, do 1 warm-up set, maybe 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and then that last set, then that's your main set. I think if you do that, I think your recovery process will increase and your strength will go up in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then in terms of week to week, like it's still, I'm progressing, but then as the week goes on, because I feel like I'm just tired, my body, then I start. So depending on where the workout's programmed is when I have like peaks and valleys.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Here's a suggestion. What if we undo what we just did, going from 4 days to 5 days a week? And then you took another look at the glute workout that you have, because the reason that I wrote it that way was because I want you disproportionately focusing on glutes and shoulders, right? Which is why we have more volume in these. Just for the record, pal, she's not doing that kind of volume on every single exercise. I know. Yeah. We're specifically focusing on glutes. But if that's too much, which it sounds like it is, then what if we just? What if we just go back to the same workout, Chrissy, that we were doing before, and just reduce the number of compound lifts that you had?
Yeah. See, just to add one quick point there. The reason why I'm saying lower the volume to 4 days a week, because when you look at your growing muscle, you don't grow muscle in the gym. You grow muscle outside the gym. So what you do outside the gym is probably more important than what you do in the gym. You're breaking down muscle in the gym. So if you think by going into the gym and actually doing more to build more muscle, you're actually going backwards. So this is why your days off are very, very important, because when you take those days off, it'll get you ready for those next sessions the day after. So when it does come to your glute-focused days, these are going to be like your big compound lifts, like your hip thrusts and your squats and stuff like that. So by you having a day in between those set days, you're going to feel a lot stronger in the gym. Whereas if you're going from one day training session to another day's training session to another day's training session, you're not allowing your body to recover for you to go into the next day and improve your performance in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, like when we first started the phase 1, because it was 4 days, right? I felt like I could increase strength, like because they were so different body groups, like on each day. And it just felt like more manageable. But isn't that funny? You get like used to a program and you're like, oh, it's time to start a new one. So yeah, there was like things about that one that I was like just getting comfortable with, that I like really like felt like I was progressing. And then, then you have to start a new program, which is a part of the journey. But yeah, this new one just does feel like a little much. And also, like, in terms of history, like sumo deadlifts, I think I've done like twice in my life, like prior to this. So it's like, I'm also trying to get familiar with like the move, and I'm like, okay, and I'm trying to push the weight. So I'm like, there's a lot of like things I'm still like learning in that process. So I guess I like to know, like, as a student, like what the priority is. Like, am I trying to push weight? Am I trying to target time under tension? Am I trying to hit the reps and not complain about like finishing the workout? Those are all things like going on in my mind as a student. And I'm like, okay, am I supposed to feel like this? Is this part of like, so yeah, just wanted to give you like a little insight.
If you're feeling DOMS after say 48 or 72 hours after your last workout, that's way too much volume. If your recovery process is very, very good. Now let's put it this way. If you're able to do glutes, say on a Monday, and you come back in on a Wednesday and you're stiff and you still have pain there, that's your body telling you, listen, I haven't recovered yet. So when
I'd
we
say
mentioned
Monday to Thursday is like perfect amount of time in between leg sessions. And then like shoulders and back, those side by side are fine. Like that split works. But these 2 past days it was a little I was pushing it.
Okay. And I think the reason why your body's getting away with too much at the moment is because you ain't taking those main sets to complete and utter failure. So that's if you were, you wouldn't be doing the amount of volume you're doing now. Whereas if you take that muscle to complete and utter failure, like it's just like you literally, I'm going in here, and when it starts to burn, that's on the start of the set. So I'm going to push past that. I'm going to try and get about 5 or 6. So it's like that. It's like that winner's mentality that I'm going to get over that line no matter what. That's what you need to do when you're in that set. And it's like, oh my God, this is really, really burning. But before you rack that weight, be honest with yourself. Can I get another 4 or 5? Like if someone was telling me, shouting at me, like, say, come on, you can get an extra 4 or 5. You will do it, but don't get comfortable in a set. That's because you're literally leaving gains on the table. Now you won't be able to do this when you're starting cutting down. So because you're in an off season now and you're strong now and your food is high, this is the perfect time to go in and break down that muscle as much as you can, because you won't be able to do that now in the next couple of weeks. So take advantage of it now while the food is high.
Roger that.
Because if you do too much volume, what's going to happen is eventually that's going to catch up on you, and your appetite is going to increase because your energy output is too high. You want to reduce your energy output. So when you do strip down to those last weeks, your body's actually ready for that. It's not going to be like a big, massive shock. Oh my God, like I'm reducing my food. I'm actually used to this because I've been doing lower volume. It's just now just adjusting the food, and nothing's going to change. I'm still going to feel relatively good. Whereas if you go from one stressful situation and you're on such amount of food and you bring it down, your body's actually trying to catch up with you. It's like, oh my God, like I'm not actually enjoying this. I used to do high volume. Now you're asking me to do low volume. Like I'm not used to this. So get used to it now. So when it comes into those into those phases, the next 6 to 8 weeks, your body's gonna be ready for it.
So when in terms of like when you're saying going to muscular failure, am I not, if my rep range or target is, let's say 2 and I have like 3 more in, am I just supposed to like continue, like for example, hip thrusts?
Yeah, if you're going for strength, which is going to be like your main exercises, I would make sure you're hitting a rep range between 8 and 12 reps for one set. That's it, one set. So let's say wherever weight you're doing now for a 2-repper or a 3-repper, I would take another 20% off that bar, and I would aim for a good 8 to 12 reps. But I'd make sure you're taking the failure. Failure to me is when your whole body is shaking, your legs are shaking, you're not just focusing on the eccentric part of the lift, you're focused on the concentric part of the lift as well. So the strongest, but you might be strong pushing the weight up, but how strong are you lowering the weight down? You're going to be a lot stronger on the way down. So that's when you need to say, right, okay, I've got more in the tank here. So instead of just putting the bar on the ground, I'm going to really challenge myself here, and I'm going to see what I can actually do. And that's how growth appears a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing tons of volume in the gym.
I mean, I prefer that. I prefer less volume. So that's music to my ears.
I know.
Like if in my head, I'm like, okay, if I have to do 10 of these, like I'm going to die. But like, if I just have to see how much I can do with like 8 or even like 4, I'm good with that.
But I'll give you another example. Let's say you're doing a leg press, and let's say you had, like, say, I don't know, maybe 200 pounds on the machine. And let's say you, at the very, very first, say you go all in and you do 10 reps. You went to complete and utter failure. And let's say you do German volume training. As I said, the very, very first set, you went all out. Your legs are shaking. And I ask you to go back in and do the exact same weight 2 minutes later. I guarantee you won't get 10 reps. You won't even get past 6 reps because your legs are already fatigued. So what's the point in going back in and do it again? You've already failed on the first set.
For sure.
So
like yesterday when I was doing the sumo deadlifts, right? I had 5 sets of 5. By the last set, I was like, oh, let's try to go up in weight. So I went to 145. I could barely squeeze 3 out. Like I couldn't lift the bar. I just couldn't, unless I wanted to fall over and, like, you know what I mean? Like I physically couldn't. So I was like, that's my max. And I was like, 3 is all I got, unless I want to injure myself, which then, there's that. Don't want to do that. But and I tried to push that same weight last week. I mean, I beat the weight of last week, but my inner thighs were so sore, which is great. I mean, like, love it. This time I wasn't sore, but like, to your point, it's like finding, okay, if 5's my target and I only get to 3, like, if that's my failure point, do I just, that's okay?
That's it. Yeah, that's your failure point. But you should be always picking a weight where you can definitely get between an 8 and 12 reps on that exercise. And then when it comes to your isolation movements, you could probably go for 12 to 20 reps. Like you should have different rep ranges for each exercise. So for your big massive compound lifts, I will always favor between 8 and 12. When it comes to isolation, we can go a little bit higher because you're just working for blood flow and for pretty much a pump. That's all you're looking for. So you're just trying to get the muscle as pumped as much as possible. But when it comes to strength, like the strength and power, there's a big, massive difference between hypertrophy and if you're working to do powerlifting. Powerlifting is around from 1 to 5. We're not powerlifters. We're bodybuilders.
That's her only power move, and that's the lowest reps that she has, just for the record. So she's doing 5 sets of 5 on that exercise. Everything else is more the rep ranges that you're talking about.
Yeah. And I would say make sure if you're doing that kind of setup, don't do it on both days. Just do it for one day. So let's say you are doing a strength-based program, do it, say, on the Monday, and then the second day you come in and do hamstrings again. Don't do the same setup. Do something completely different. Because what you're doing is you're actually telling the body, listen, I'm doing something completely different. Or the body's actually going to get used to what you're actually doing. So you should be saying, right, I have workout A is going to be like more focused on strength, and I've got workout B, which is going to be focused more on hypertrophy. That's how you're going to recover a lot faster.
So you wouldn't put like them side by side?
No, definitely wouldn't have 2 strength days side by side. You need to make sure if you've got a really advanced strength day, you need to make sure your body has a rest the next day to get you primed and ready for the next day. Now, if you're doing
sumo deadlifts should have their own week. Like, not even their own. But like sumo deadlifts back to back with barbell RDLs, like those 2 side by side are okay.
It depends on what your recovery process is like. If you're getting stronger on both exercises, then I would say everybody's different. But if you're weaker on one and you're getting stronger on the other, then that's a sign where you need to break them up.
Okay.
So listen to your body. If you're getting stronger on both and there's no issues, but if you're getting strong on one and the other one is taking a massive hit and you're actually getting weaker in that movement, well, then I would just split them up. Just have one day more hip thrust, the next day, so let's say 2 days later, go for more to squat or wherever it is. You will see the difference on both days. You'll see the difference. That's all you need. And your recovery process will increase massively.
Okay.
But listen to your body. Listen, if your body says, listen, no, I can actually do this. If you're taking the muscle to failure and the weight is going up and you're getting stronger, and as I said, your recovery is getting a lot better, then by all means, keep doing it, because you know better than I did, because it's your body.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to say, because what I think is like muscle failure, and then also like for example, when I get tired and I'm doing barbell RDLs, I'll sometimes like bail out and use like my back, or you know what I mean? So it's like, do I want to compromise form? No. But I also need to be honest about like, am I able to like functionally do these reps at this volume right after I just did a really hard lift?
Yeah. And like and especially for like a barbell, let's say you're doing a barbell stiff deadlift or something like that. Like if you're going from one extreme, which is going to be a really, really heavy movement, like say a hip thrust, like when it comes to like a stiff deadlift, unless you lift that bar off the ground with immaculate form, I mean immaculate form, then I would pretty much be very, very careful, because you could snap something up very, very quickly. So you want to make sure, are you lowering the bar correctly? Are you squeezing the bar on the way up? Like, how are you actually contracting the muscle? If you're working the hamstring, if you're working the glutes, how are you initiating the glute and the hamstring as you bring the weight up? So as you come up and you drive your hip forward, are you getting a full squeeze on the glute? Are you getting a full squeeze on the hamstring, or is the lower back coming into play? So when we talked at the very, very beginning about safety around the exercises, this is the perfect example. It's like, okay, I'm going down, I'm feeling the muscle, I'm feeling the stretch. So all I need to do now is initiate the hip on the way up, push the hip forward. That's where I'm going to get the hip drive. That's where I'm going to feel the hamstring and the glute. If I come up too much and hyperextend my back, then my lower back is going to get affected. And that'll hinder you going forward.
For sure. And then you're out for like a couple days.
Yeah. No, it's not worth it.
No.
So does that all make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think like what you're saying, like listening to your body and knowing when you're fatigued, like knowing that like, okay, you just might have, sometimes like shaving off a set is okay, given that like you don't want to push it past the point of like, you know, something it's not soreness, it's like you're actually gonna hurt yourself.
I think Colt did this a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think
so I'm in the process right now of lowering my low intensity cardio and total training volume, and the way I justify lowering my total working sets is if I beat a PR, and it could be anything. It could be from last week. If I got an extra rep, or if I was able to push a little more weight, or if I was able to do the same weight and the same rep, but for 5 seconds longer, if I'm timing my sets, maybe just the same, or maybe just the same workout, but with less rest between sets. Still, I'm like, if I give myself 1 or 2 wins during the workout, that's a sign that I'm not losing any muscles, and I'm taking progress pictures and posing every single workout to make sure that everything's balanced properly. If everything looks good there, then why not? It's like, why would I do 3 more sets of squats? I normally would, but we're not focusing on that anymore. We're cutting right now. That's for building muscle.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, 100% agree.
Cool. So to wrap up, then let's just switch her back from the 5 days to 4 days, right? And so it'll be a leg workout on Monday, upper body, and then a leg workout on Thursday, and just take out some of these overly taxing lifts and leave in the essentials. So instead of doing Bulgarian split squats for the glutes, sumo deadlifts, and barbell Romanian deadlifts, which she's doing at some point throughout the week, one of those exercises should go.
Yeah, I know. They don't have to go. Just separate them. That's all you need to do. Just don't put them all in the one day, because that to me is just too much taxing on the central nervous system. You better keep them all in. That's too much volume to do in one day. Way too much. I would mix a hamstring day, a hamstring glute day with a back day. So I would do, say, 3 or 4 movements for the hamstrings and the glutes, and maybe 1 movement for the back. So let's say if you are doing like a lift off the ground, like say some sort of variation of a deadlift, we know we can work the back on that movement. So you could definitely initiate the lower back and the hamstrings and glutes on that day. So that will actually hit the back. And then on another day, then you can focus more on you're taking the lower back out of it completely. So no squats, no stand-up squats, maybe just do a hip thrust, maybe do a leg press, so your lower back's completely taken out of it. So I would rather see Chrissy focus on one day is primarily standing up and doing like compound lifts and really focusing on that foundation, focusing on that building that strength. And then on the other day, we focus on still leg movements, but everything's going to be all sitting down or lying down.
So legs should be on Monday and Thursday, upper body during the middle of the week.
Yeah.
But let's have Thursday be legs and back. So like upper back. And then and actually no, she doesn't need to do any upper back. She's in the bikini category. Her back's plenty thick enough. And
so what you need to do is you need to focus more on shoulders and the glute area. You want to get more volume in. So so I would do Monday and a Thursday is going to be a glute focused and a shoulder focused workout. And then the 2 days in between, you'll have more of a push session. So it'll be focused more on the shoulders, the chest, the triceps, maybe some calves or something like that. And then on the back day, it's just focused more on just like say rows and pull downs and stuff like that. So again, on those 2 days in between, we don't want any standing movements. We don't want any movements that's going to affect the lower back, because we want to save that energy for when we're back in the gym on Thursday doing legs again.
Right. Okay. So I have Monday and Thursday both as being glute focused. I mean, overall legs, but specifically glutes. The only problem that I see is if she's doing shoulder on both those days, then I would rather her do shoulders on Tuesday personally and have that be more of a push workout, and then add in some pulling shoulder exercises on Thursday. So then she's not doing too much pressing. Okay, so Monday she's got legs with no pressure on the lower back. Writing that down, and then Tuesday is going to be a full blown push bodybuilding workout essentially. Very shoulder focused and very little chest focused. Wednesday, that leaves open for some auxiliary work, it looks like. And then Thursday is legs with back and then rear deltoids. And I'm thinking like upright rows, side laterals, and then have her do more pulling shoulder exercises on Thursday. That would probably balance it.
Yeah, and then all you need to do then is just have you and Chrissy have a conversation about how many sets and reps and exercises you're going to do. And just basically come up with an idea between the two of you and make sure that, first of all, Chrissy is happy with the volume. She's happy with what she's doing. She's making progress at what she's doing. And then everything should be okay.
Yeah. I like how this split's looking too. It's an art, because everybody, and Chrissy, this is like how bodybuilders write plans versus how someone like in your line of work writes plans is I'm thinking of a shape that we're trying to achieve, and how can we how can we build and work and fit and address muscle imbalances, but make them all fit within 4 days in a way that you can recover as fast as you can from day to day. So yeah, and
Colt, on those glute days, are you adding in like any glute back kicks or something like that? Are you adding in anything like that? Kickback, sorry. Yep. Are you adding them in? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because that's that I would add them in on both days.
I do feel kickbacks a lot, and it's funny when you talk about like writing programs. Like when I write programs for my clients, like there's certain clients that just steer the ship, right? Like I still will like I'll sequence according, right? But like for the most part, their personality is so strong that I'm able to like just work with them, and it works for them because they enjoy doing it. And the best workout you're going to do is the one that you're going to do consistently, and you're going to see results. So it is like you're saying, like there's an art to it, but then there's also like a collaboration to it of like, how can we make this the most effective for where you're at right now?
Oh yeah, you think that I work out the way that I do right now and eat the way that I do because I was coached to do it? No, it's been all of you that I'm just like, okay, what's the deal with eating this, and this? Huh? And then I try it. I'm like, wow, no, I feel better the more I eliminate too. Okay, what you don't drink coffee? Well, why? Or like you don't drink caffeine? Or why? Okay, and it's if you I think as soon as you let go of your pride and you just realize that you have something to learn from everybody, then that's when your life starts changing for the better.
Can I say something here? Chrissy, how are you fixed on training on the weekends, or do you have to train like Monday to Friday?
No, I'm open to. We used to train Monday, Tuesday, take a break on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that was like the more space I find, like I'm stronger when I do that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If I was your coach, I'd be saying like, listen, train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Monday is going to be a leg session, and Saturday is going to be a leg session.
I love that.
That means every 4 days, you're going to be training legs. Okay. Because I think because when you think about it, Monday, Tuesday. What did we say last time? What was it? Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
You're getting 2 days off at the weekend, and you're back in on Monday. I think a longer stretch in between each days, that's when you're going to get a lot stronger. I think every 4 days that means every 4 days you're training that muscle part again. Mm-hmm. That means your recovery process is going to be a lot faster. 100%. That's the way I would structure it. Do like a leg session on a Monday, do a push session on a Tuesday, come back in, do a back session on a Thursday, and then come back in and do a glute-focused session on the Saturday. But make sure on those 2 days that you do like the push and the pull, make sure you're not doing anything for your lower back. You're not jeopardizing your lower back. It's just all like rowing movements, pull down movements, easy stuff. That you can just get. Yeah, don't affect your back because you want to keep that lower back strong for your glute days.
And what's really convenient is right after this, we're having our weekly check-in.
Yeah.
and so now that we have the outline and the skeleton figured out, then putting together the rest of the pieces of the puzzle is going to be cake.
Absolutely. Right. Happy days.
Yeah. And I love what you were saying on that too, with having a rest day in the middle of the week too. And that's something that we've gone so far is to take out the days of the week within the plans and just say, these are your 4 workouts for the week. Get them done on whatever days you can get them done on. And if you need a rest day in the middle, take a rest day.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
Great. Well, Mark, thank you so very much again for your time, your expertise, and for staying up late. I know that you're probably going to bed right now.
Yeah, I'm going to bed right now. I am indeed.
Good night, Mark. Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best, Christian. I hope you do well. But I'll be talking to you very soon, anyway. But I hope it goes all well.
Sounds good.
It will.
All right.
She's gonna win. She's in good hands.
Yes, I know she is.
All right. Later, guys.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Colt.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this entire episode. If you found this helpful or entertaining, please share this with a friend. Thank you so much for helping us grow the channel organically. We really, really appreciate all the ratings, the reviews, whatever you guys got for us. We want to keep this being your #1 source of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. Thank you so much again. God bless you. We'll catch you on episode 156.